speaking out against former U.S. swimmer Riley Gaines for her recent anti-trans sports comments. On June 6th, Riley reshared a post on X by the Minnesota State High School League. The Champlin Park girls softball team, which includes a trans athlete, was celebrating a state championship, but the post's comment restrictions appeared to upset the former NCAA swimmer. Comments off, LOL, Gaines wrote, to be expected when your star player is a boy. Simone responded to Riley's comment, calling out the Nashville native's anti-transgender rhetoric. You're truly thick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser, Simone wrote in an X post. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans feel safe in sports. The most decorated gymnast of all time went on to say, quote, one thing for sure is no one in sports is safe with you around. The conservative pundit and the Olympic champion continued to spar on social media, with Simone suggesting Riley should, quote, bully someone their own size, adding, quote, which would ironically be a male. Riley responded, in part calling Simone a male apologist at the expense of young girls' dreams. As of June 8th, Riley has continued to post about the situation on X, but it does not appear that Simone has posted any further. The former U.S. swimmer was reportedly among more than a dozen college athletes who sued the NCAA in March 2024 for allowing Leah Thomas, a transgender woman, to compete in the 2022 national championships. The lawsuit references several races that Leah competed in, including the 200-yard final, during which Riley and Leah tied for fifth place, but only Leah was awarded the trophy.
All
Man,
right,
that's
TR,
crazy.
we're gonna kick this off with you after I close this
So
window. Um,
yeah.
First of
Oh,
all, as men, let me throw the question out here. As men, do we stay out of this? Do we engage in this? Where do you stand on all of this? TR, we'll start with you.
I mean, so Riley, not Riley. Simone did give a half-hearted apology, but she was completely in the wrong on this, and mainly because, like, I've already had a conversation with my daughter. I told her that if there is a boy, regardless of whatever he identifies, that plays, volleyball, which it hasn't happened where I'm at, but it's happened in other states, is that I'll just pull her off because it's a different sport, especially with the nets being very low. There was a girl that was concussed by a trans boy or kid that they just blasted the ball at her, and so there's been a couple conversation like this, but Simone Biles going after Riley was just out of left field, and I know it's historically been called Pride Month, but it's just weird that she came out and just started defending this or defending the baseball player that they won a championship with. Honestly, the fathers that allowed their daughters to play, they should have pulled them off the field. They shouldn't have been playing. Like, I know a lot of parents sometimes will be okay with, like, well, my kid this, my kid that, blah blah blah. Okay, that's fine. But for the players that have to play against that kid, they should have pulled them off. They shouldn't be playing, let them play. And I know it was a championship game, probably would have sucked just to lose a championship, but it's an unfair advantage. We don't let men that want to just, well, women don't jump into men's sports just because they know the differences in size and abilities. But Simone, she caught a lot of flack for this, which is, I was kind of surprised by that, but for the most part, it was kind of deserved, like, because she went out of her way to try to defend this nonsense, and it really is nothing. She shouldn't have been defending it. It's those girls lost out, and you lose out on scholarships, you lose out on, I mean, medals, and I know some people might say that's not a big thing. Yes, it is. If you're trying to put your kid through college, all that stuff matters. And if you're giving out scholarship to trans kids, and are you going to start asking the girls if they're okay with it, if they're okay with being in the same locker room and everything? Like, nobody wants to have that question. I think it's not a big deal, but it really is a big deal. And I'm glad that it's kind of, well, it kind of subsided just because the whole LA thing that's been going on. But it was a very weird interaction with Simone Biles, though. But still the best gymnast, but she just needs to shut up and flip. That's all it is.
So I'm gonna make a real quick point, and I'm gonna drop back off. It's always fascinating to me when stories like this come up. It's never the other way around. It's never a woman who's, I don't even know the proper terminology to use, a woman who's transitioning or identifies as a man trying to compete in the men's leagues. Like, we never hear those stories. And in my opinion, the reason why you never hear those stories is because they aren't good enough to compete at that level. And I think that that means something. But I'll just leave it at that. ML, we'll give you the mic next.
I'm gonna steal the mic. I'm sorry, my turn. Let me
There you
catch
go.
this. Let me catch
I was
my
about to do
60
the
on this
same
one.
thing.
All
Yeah,
right.
I
All
know,
right.
brother. You have more. Matter of fact, yeah, you go first. I'll go behind you because you have more right
Oh,
to chime in first on this one. So I'll back down.
I have a transgender teenager that was born my daughter, transitioned to my son. In the general scheme of life, I feel like trans people have every right to exist. You do whatever you want that makes you happy in this world, as long as you ain't committing crimes or hurting nobody. I'm happy for you. I feel like society tries to force it down the rest of our throats. I mean, I'm happy for you, do your thing, but I don't have to celebrate it. Why can't you just exist in your world and I exist in mine, and we all get along and again be decent human beings? We don't have to celebrate everybody else's choices. I think that's where the left goes a little too far with that. But bringing it back to the sports things, while I'm all for transgender people and their rights, there has to be some give and take. There has to be some sacrifices, and there just should not, under any circumstances, be men transitioning to women and then being allowed to play sports with my daughter. I don't agree with that. The Leah Thomas, the swimmer thing, you was a below average male swimmer. You grew your hair, transitioned, and now you out here shattering records. It's ridiculous. And you see this there was a guy transitioned to a woman and started breaking all these women's weightlifting records. I think
oh
it's
yeah.
kind of perverse. I think it's sad, and I'm not afraid to say it. If people want to cancel me or whatever, hey, come get it. I don't care. I don't want men competing on the same playing field as my daughter. Is BS. It's total BS. And parents should take their kids off the field. You should put a stop to that. This is nonsense. And people like Simone Biles, it it's a problem with the left. Is it's so much chaos. Everybody can't be what they want. Everybody can't have their own damn space. Everybody can't just run wild. The world don't work like that. There's got to be some rules. There's got to be some order. There's got to be some balance. And I don't want to sound like a hater or like I'm intolerant of transgender people, because I'm not. But I draw the line at the sports things. Ain't gonna be no little boy uh, with a wig on, slamming volleyballs on my daughter's head, hitting home runs, and especially in physical sports like fighting. You had the MMA fighter, the Fallon Fox. She's out here breaking other women's orbital bones and stuff, and nobody sees a problem with that because she identifies as a woman. I'm like, this is nonsense. This is craziness. I think it's stupid. I think it's disgusting. I'll say it with my whole chest, and I don't care how society views me for it. That's our problem, is we can't take a definitive stance on nothing. We want to pussyfoot around everything. We want to spare everybody's feelings. No one is entitled to go through their life without being offended, because everybody's different. You got different opinions. You got different thoughts. Bad things are going to happen. And if you don't like it, stay in the house. But I'm just, yeah, I can't sit in the crowd and watch that happen. They would have to throw me out. Like, what are we doing? Why is he out there?
Yeah.
And if I met him anywhere other than in the sports arena, I'm gonna call you she. I'm gonna acknowledge your pronouns. I'm gonna respect who you are. But as soon as we step on the sports field, like, what's he doing here? It is what it is. I'm sorry.
ML, just a quick question. So given that you do have a trans teenager and the stance that you just have, does that create any conflict when y'all have those conversations?
No, he and I have talked. I have some trans coworkers, and I meet trans people in life, and I've kind of asked them on their perspective to help me be better at talking to my child. I have a really good rapport with all my children. They all know they can come and talk to me about anything. That's one of the blessings I've had in fatherhood, is they're willing to talk to me about things. So me and my trans son, we don't have any issues. He understands where I'm coming from on certain things. We've talked about the sports thing, and he doesn't disagree either. He doesn't necessarily think is fair. But again, like you said, you don't see women transition to men and jump out there like that. They just, trans men just kind of fade into the background and blend in. They want to be regular people. It's the trans women, these men that transition to women, and they want to be the loudest thing in the room. You don't have this problem going the other way with the trans community. You know, so my son, he's real chill, he's real laid back. And we talk about this a lot because he's worried about society and how the world views him. And I told him, I'll drop a motherfucker where they stand over you. Pardon my language. But at the same time, I still have certain thoughts and feelings. With him, it started early on, and I just let him know, wow, look, I don't fully understand the whole trans thing, but I love you unconditionally. So I don't care. You can identify as a banana. It ain't going to change the way I feel about you. And I will walk this path with you, and I will learn as much as I can so I can be as supportive as I can. And that's all I can do as a father. But I still have thoughts and opinions on certain things that aren't going to change just because I love you, looking at the bigger picture. So no, we don't have any friction over these type of things, and we can agree to disagree on something. We happen to agree on the sports thing though, so it's all good.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I yielded to ML, because he definitely had more ground and the right to speak first on that topic. I mean, speaking just from a physical standpoint, men are physically stronger than women. I don't care the hormones you take. I don't care what supplements you take. A woman can trans to a boy, and that's fine. But when you just strip away everything and you're looking at pure physical traits, and it's not the same. It's not the same. And I don't agree with it. I mean, I remember there was this one female who trans boxer she took towards male, and she got her ass beat. I mean, that's just really what ended up happening was. And
Imane Khalif was her name. I just dropped it in chat.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay, yeah. Because I saw that one. I was like, don't do that.
Yeah,
she was crushing those women in the Olympics. She was crushing them.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it is it's so no, I don't feel like it's the same thing. I still follow ML with this school of thought. I'm like, you can do whatever you want to, but you don't have the right to force it upon me. You know, if I accidentally misgender a person, because we had a person, I found out today, the person who I went to go to the barbershop was a trans person and messed up not this cut, but a previous cut and whatnot. And they were like, "Oh, is it because it's a trans person?" I said, "I don't give a shit about you being trans. You're a shitty barber. I mean, point blank, period. I don't care what gender you are. You suck. I don't care. Penis, vagina, whatever, nipples. I don't care. Whatever. No, you just purely suck." But the thing about it is, we talk about $20 million and all this for learning people. I would rather spend time not even worrying about the transgender issue. I'm still fighting to get a black couple in a commercial. I'm like, damn, we can't. I mean, everywhere you turn the commercial, it's the black man and it's a white woman, black man and an Asian woman. Because everybody. So I'm turning this one, but that's where I'm fighting about. We can't even get the black families a dynamic together unless it's a bad product. If it's an AIDS product, if it's like for syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, whatever, they'll throw black people in the front of that book, like, hey, and then they want to do all that and they put us in the forefront. I'm fighting to see, why can't I see MC and his wife in a commercial, a loving black couple advertise the product? That's where my fight is. If you want to be trans in sport, just know that I don't support that. But I do support you. Like I tell everybody, I give everybody the respect of God until you show me you're a devil. I tell people that daily. So, and that's how I look at it. But come on. I mean, there's more things to fight about. Sports, stay out. Sorry, get your own league. Because Leah Thomas, yeah, that was a mess. And it was. And Simone Biles and TR, you're right. She was wrong from the get. I think she just wanted some publicity and she needed it's clout week. And she wanted to rile her base to go after. I'm like, you look stupid. You
I
did.
will.
You look like a pint
Did
sized
anybody
Snickers.
find it ironic when she clapped back at Riley? She said, "Pick on somebody your own size who more than likely will
Yes.
be a
Yeah.
dude."
Yeah. So she played that card. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then she throws it at her by saying, and that's more like a man. So I'm like, hey, reverse toxic femininity right there. I mean, it's like fem on fem crime. That's what it really is. I
Yeah,
yeah.
mean, you went
I'll,
against Republic Karen of the sports world, and it just didn't work. And like I say, I'll argue a point on both sides, but she was wrong from the get. Like, I'm not gonna, like I say, I don't watch a movie just because it's black. I don't dance because there's just music playing, and I'm not gonna agree with you because we share pigment together. It doesn't work that way. With
right.
that,
Let me
I'm
before I
quiet.
pass the mic again. Let me just explain why all of this confuses me. I talked about me being a gender roast guy earlier, right? One thing I've learned, particularly with women, when it comes to conflict, they slide right into that. They like, let's say a woman is getting hostile with you and talking crazy to you. The expectation is we're supposed to show them a little bit more grace than we would a fellow man, right? Like if a guy is being disrespectful compared to a woman, you're probably gonna handle it differently. But I've noticed that these women that get hostile with you and start talking crazy to you, as soon as you return that energy right back to them, then they want to slide into that feminine role. Somebody please come protect me. So when it comes to these gender and these role issues, it's all just one big confusing thing to me. I don't think it's gray. I think it's black and white. On that note, AK, I didn't already hit you up, so you
Hey,
go ahead.
MC.
Well, no, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, that's why, like, on shit like
AK,
this, I'm
hold
not.
on.
Oh,
We got a question for ML. If you want to answer it, ML, you don't have to.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. My transgender child, me and his mom, we were together for 6 years. We've been raising him his whole life. We knew early on that she was gonna like girls because I do believe when it comes to being straight or gay, you're just kind of born that way. You like what you like, you can't help it. But after telling us he likes girls, which we understood at 10 years old, he was 12 when he texted me and he was like, "I got something to tell you, Dad." And I'm like, "Well, give me a call." He was like, "Well, I don't want to give you a call." And he was like, he texted me and he was like, I want to identify as a boy. And my immediate response was, "All right, son, I love you." Just because I accept my children as they are, no matter what. So the trans thing with him, early on, his mother and she was very resistant to it because she was like, "Well, maybe it's just a fad and maybe he's gonna this." And I'm like, maybe, but while he tries to figure out who he wants to be, our job is to be supportive to a certain extent without going overboard. So I sat him down and we just told him right away, "Look, we're not doing any pills, we're not doing any hormones. We will respect your pronouns, we will respect your choices, and we will treat you as our son. But all those other things, you do that when you get on the other side of 18, if that's what you want to do." And the only conflict I've ever had with him is he punched me once. And I told him, I was like, "Look, I don't really play fight with my daughters, but I hit my sons full speed. So keep that in mind next time you want to punch me." And that's as close as we've ever come to having any conflict. There was never any confusion. We always knew that she was a lesbian. And then the progression from that to I want to identify as a boy was a little bit unexpected. But again, I love my children unconditionally, and I wasn't going to try to argue him out of how he feels. But it did raise a lot of questions for me to do a lot of research of how much of this is something he genuinely feels and how much of it is you feel like you don't necessarily belong and the internet has exposed you to all these ideas and you was like, "You know what, that's what I want to be." And again, only time will tell if he outgrows it or if he sees it all the way through. And so far it appears he's going to see it all the way through. I mean, he's got a girlfriend, her parents know who and what he is, they're nice people. We've spent some time together, so far it's been a fairly good experience for him because I'll do my best to protect him from the rest of the world. But I'm still learning and going along with all this. So there's a lot that I don't know or understand yet, but I'm doing the best I can as a father to be supportive of my children because I think that's my number one job is to be supportive of who they want to be, not who I want them to be.
Also,
All right, AK.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things that like I stay out of just because of my weight in the whole conversation. Like I definitely have a perspective as far as born a man at birth and then playing in or yeah, born a man at birth and then playing in women's sports from the physicality standpoint. It's bullshit. Like like it shouldn't happen. Like under any circumstances. But the thing is, I'm a man, played man sports, raising a son,
yep, sorry
and
guys.
my son won't run into that conflict of like worrying about a woman being in men's sports. So like as far as me not being directly affected by it, I try not to like throw my opinion too much in the subject because like I'm technically like on the outside. I mean, I have my idea how things should be, but some people don't. Some people defer. Like that's why Simone Biles felt so comfortable because like based on the whole idea of inclusion, she's entitled in the things that she's saying. Like if you want to be like fully inclusive, like as some people think some things should be, like there's not really limits to that. That includes allowing trans men to play in men's sports or trans women to play in women's sports. So that's why like things like that need to be monitored. Like it still allow people to live, but like it's so funny that you showed that democratic thing. Yeah, it's definitely like like a democratic point of view. I think of like where things like you want to be so good to everybody, but like then slippery slopes arise,
Yeah.
and that's definitely one where you can go a different way. But I know like the trans population, like in the whole world, is like, or even in the U.S. is like 0.05% of the population. So like I know that these are really different conversations, and with me not having either a trans son or a trans daughter, like I'm not involved in it, and I mind my business on it, and it's not going to affect my son as much.
Yeah,
All right.
and
Go ahead.
AK, sorry to jump in. So I understand your point on that one, AK. The concern is, even though it doesn't impact your son, it starts to impact, like, maybe it might be somebody else in your family at some point, or it might impact, like, maybe some awards at your kid's school.
Oh
Like,
yeah, and that's
that,
why I'm saying I still have a stance,
okay,
but
sorry.
like I'm not pushing my stance that much because like I don't like that when people like remain neutral in this conversation. Nah, I feel a way. Like yeah, I don't feel like that should be happening in sports. It's not fucking right. Like
Yeah.
to like if I had a daughter to face her to that level of competition, like that you're playing basically me.
Yeah.
Like
I'll say this much though. I think with Simone, I don't know what gave her the, or what made her do the apology. Maybe she just, got tired of all the flack she was getting. But I'm gonna give a little respect to her husband though, because she didn't take too long to apologize. And so I'm hoping that because maybe her husband didn't know that Simone was wilding out on Twitter of all places. But I think her husband, I think Jonathan Owens, I think's his name. I think he stepped in. He was like, "Look, you're gonna have to like walk this back because it's not you're on the wrong side of this, and you're doing too much." So maybe it wasn't Jonathan Owens, or maybe it was the sponsors, but somebody got to Simone and had her walk it back within like a day or two. So,
Oh, you think this is a PR move? Okay.
well,
oh, definitely. I mean, it's just not her fight. Like how I feel right now. It's not my fight, and the fact that she's overstepping, she definitely took the Pride Month stage, and being a gymnast for the American national team, you
yeah,
have like so many white women in your corner, like that's their thing, and like with white women also comes from both sides of the plate. She's definitely a more liberal person, but you get like the
mhm.
democratic white women, and then like you get into the whole narratives and all that. So like I could see her being really empowered by the left and getting pushed to do some shit like that. But then yeah, you bring it back home and it's like, what am I even talking about?
All right, Colt, bring us home.
Okay. So it's a touchy subject, right? And at
Yeah.
the end of the day, let's be serious. We could say that, yeah, we should say something because somebody in our family may one day be affected. I may be one day blessed with a girl. But we already know that as Black men, our opinions not even wanted unless it is to agree with what is being said. And with transgender people being such a low percentage, and then the transgender athletes that would actually be doing this being even a lower number, it wouldn't be as hard to restrict it. But the problem is that they probably wouldn't be allowed to play sports at all because there's not even really enough of them for a league. All of that being said, like shit happens, and like sometimes you're not allowed to do the thing that you wanted to do. I wanted to make it to the NBA, but I wasn't gifted enough to be, 6'8" because my game doesn't translate to a 6'3" point guard. I'm a 6'3" small forward, you know, and in sports, I'm not allowed to play against fifth graders because I have an advantage over them. That's understood. We have different weight classes because there's advantages that are understood. We had different genders because there are advantages that were understood. We've had movies that have made parodies of somebody ignoring that difference. And so I think that it's not a throw the baby out with the bathwater thing because, to be honest, I don't really care what anybody does in their bedroom or in their pants as long as I'm not involved. So, and I think that most people truly feel that way. It's really just a matter of why is it being pushed at me when the truth of the matter is it doesn't. Like, yeah, Leah Thomas isn't going to be able to swim, but I mean, we're being courageous and taking a new path of life. These are the things that happen. Like, I'm a Black man. Black men have been around for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. My shit is still rough. So I will be honest with you, I don't really have room for feeling sorry for people that are choosing and have the right to choose a way of life because the way of life that I'm choosing is hard for me to get. And it is what it is. Like it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have the rights and freedoms that I want for myself, but my rights and freedoms ends where somebody else's begins. And once I start imposing myself on somebody else, then that's a problem. And with the sports thing really being one way, and it usually being a person of a certain amount of sun reflecting pigment in their skin, it really speaks more to an ego problem that would be more of a mental health issue than it actually does to a real pandemic of some sort. And I think it's just another thing that's been thrown up to kind of throw more division between men and women because we can't really have honest conversations about this because, it's all so fragile. But the truth of the matter is, if I really was to be 100% honest and we weren't recording, I would say that this is just an problem of, those people that look like one of the greatest rappers who's not Black. And it's like, that's really what the problem is.
You
It's
trying
not
to say
anything
Eminem ain't in
else.
the top five, Cole?
No, not at all. I'm saying that he is. I love Eminem. But I'm just saying that the
That hey,
people,
we gonna debate that a different day because he is not in
well,
the top five.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a whole other
no,
that's a
no, no,
whole
no,
other
no. But you
debate.
got to, no. You got to understand that hip hop is all about relatability and telling a
Hold on,
story.
don't pivot,
When
Cole.
no, wait,
Don't
wait,
pivot because we got to close
no, no, no,
out.
no, no. I
Nice
got to
shuffle.
because I was a young, angry Black man. I completely related to Eminem. I was not getting money. I was mad. I wanted to hurt everybody, everybody. So
Oh
that's where it
man,
was for me. But yeah, like at the end of the day, like I don't really got so I don't really, nah. Like she shouldn't be like, nah, that's not fair. Like sports is about competition. And in order to make it really about competition, certain things have to be made fair that may not be like that. Like we can't say that I'm not gonna fight you because you're fat in real life. You can't do that. That's fat shaming. But the truth of the matter is that you're not gonna have a welterweight face a heavyweight. So it just goes. That's what sports is. So it doesn't
Hey, fat
even.
shaming is what made me lose 30 pounds. I was damn near 300 pounds a year and a half ago. But go ahead.
Listen, I think that I'm not against shaming. Like, I think that sometimes, especially like when we were talking about accountability, I wasn't saying that there shouldn't be no accountability, but you're only going to be able to hold your friends accountable and the people that respect you enough to want to be held accountable. If people don't want to be held accountable, then they're going to do shit like, they're like, you know what? I suck as a swimmer, so let me go and play with the girls because the boys are kicking my ass. And that it's a very small part of the population. And honestly, I don't even think most of the trans community agrees with that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's a different conversation
It,
too.
if I
Matter of
was to,
fact, I got a guest I'm gonna
and
bring on at some point that's gonna blow that argument wide open. But
oh,
let's stop
uh-huh.
right here because right now we're about 30 minutes over. First of all, thank everybody who listened and thank everybody on the panel. This was our first time doing this. We wanted to keep it like father like topics, but we're gonna get back to the funny stuff and the sports and everything next week. Occasionally I'm gonna tap in with y'all and ask y'all to come on as guests, particularly if there's a topic I think you'll be great at. But we want to thank y'all for popping on as well. TR, why don't you close us out with your last words?
Oh shit. Hey, thanks for showing up. RJ, I didn't know you was a podcaster, so we may have to do some collaboration here.
Oh, you should see some pictures of RJ's studio. That is, it's no joke.
Yeah, I saw
No
the camera
joke.
movement and everything. I like, oh, he's certified.
Nah, anytime anytime you want to collaborate, I'm more than happy. Really.
Yeah. And ML, thanks for educating us. When you're talking about your family, it kind of reminded me of what Dwayne Wade. We were going to have a conversation about Dwayne Wade, but that's kind of why he's had those conversations, and I think there's some benefit there as well too. And so I hope this conversation goes far, and other people can listen, because not everybody knows or has a interaction with either a trans kid or in any relation to a trans kid, other than what we kind of see in the news articles. And so but yeah, thanks for being transparent and having that conversation with us. And then AK and Cope, guys, thanks. We definitely want to have you back on here.
Yeah. All right, everybody, we out. Peace.
See ya.
Thanks.